The capture of Mexican drug lord El Chapo and the extraordinary details. I don't even know where to begin, right? It's very long and lengthy. I'm hoping that we can cover most of it in the discussion. But you guys should know that Sean Penn is involved, according to the Associated Press and one Mexican official. I'll read the tweet. The tweet from the Associated Press reads, breaking, Mexican official says drug lord Guzman's interview with actor Sean Penn led Mexican forces to his whereabouts. The Mexican government is also saying that it was because El Chapo was casting a biopic, right? So he was trying to get a hold of directors and cast actors. Now, what happened is Sean Penn had wrote this article for Rolling Stone magazine where he interviewed El Chapo, and he had to go through some really lengthy security measures to get there. We'll talk about all of that. Also, the article was quite colorful and descriptive. I feel like that we got some insight into Sean Penn just as much as El Chapo. And
whether we wanted to or not.
I know. And a lot of this was brokered by Kate Del Castillo. She is a Mexican film star, as well as the lawyers of El Chapo. Chapo is apparently a big fan of Sean Penn, and he entrusted in this film star, Kate Del Castillo, because she had tweeted her support of El Chapo prior to this on Twitter, and they had been communicating via BBM.
BBM, Blackberry
Is that Blackberry Messenger?
Blackberry Messenger.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so many details. I hope that we can get through it all, as well as some of the interview. I have some of the questions and answers here. Thoughts, 5 words or less.
Penn got him pinned.
Ooh. Won't make his acceptance speech.
Sean Penn, dead man walking.
Ooh. More like Sean penned.
Yeah, like the penitentiary.
Like he penned the article.
Oh,
You
sorry.
think that-
I thought you spoke truer than you purposed.
Penned. So, okay, so where do we begin with this? Do we want to begin with Sean Penn?
Let's start with Blackberry Messenger.
Okay.
Because like that makes total sense that you would use that, because it is like Blackberries
Obscure.
are so out of circulation that no one you would think would even think to trace you on BBM.
I know a lot of finance guys still use BBM, and they have Blackberries specifically because it's untraceable compared to the iPhone. Yeah.
What'd you guys think of his article before we get into El Chapo?
A little bit.
You know, I don't understand. Like, so this is Sean Penn. I mean, the central thesis of Sean Penn and the war on drugs is, listen, if we stop using drugs, then there won't be a need to have a war on drugs, but we can't say that drugs are evil and then go use them. Unfortunately, he says stuff like, we are rampantly consuming all these drugs, heroin, cocaine. It's like, maybe you are.
All I need are some tasty waves, cool buzz, and I'm fine.
I think Sean Penn was talking about how he has done a lot of drugs and he thinks that experience is universal. And that's what I like about when celebrities turn into hard-hitting journalists, is then there's these just moments and flashes of things they think everybody goes through that not everybody goes through.
I do like, though, that to defend him, I do like that he did bring up the fact that here we are incarcerating all these people that have an illness, right? That they're drug addicts, and instead of being treated, they're being locked up, and then we're paying for it as taxpayers. They're being taken away from their families. So I do think that he brought up some really valid points, and I liked his insight there. And I actually liked his colorful language, because I felt like I was reading a short story. Would I compare it to a hard-hitting journalist? Never. But I enjoyed reading. I felt like I was reading a book.
Yeah, and it was an article by Sean Penn, and it sounded like it was an article written by Sean Penn. I think if we'd gotten there and it had been like a New York Times article, we'd be like, oh, this isn't what I came for. Like, I came for the swear words.
I'm bored. Let's go.
But the curious thing is how, and I haven't really been able to make this jump yet, how did the article specifically lead to the capture? Because it really sounded like he took a lot of serious security measures. Like he was talking about all the burner phones and everything. But it really does seem like he tried. It wasn't like it was a setup thing. Like he really did try and be as discreet and secretive as possible.
There's two options on how it went down. One is that Sean Penn tried to outsmart someone and failed.
Right. Which is likely.
I'm pretty willing to believe. And the other is that, you know, all this post hoc statements that are coming out saying that, you know, Sean Penn is under investigation, the actress Kate is under investigation. That's just covering any complicitness they had in the investigation. He was best friends with, you know, Hugo Chavez.
Yeah.
He's the kind of person that the American government is in many ways thankful, frustrated with, because he's like, oh, you know, we should be communist. But someone you're thankful for, because these, you know, egotistical tyrants or, you know, political figures, depending on what your perspective is on them, they want to hang out with a celebrity, and that celebrity gets the access, and then you just follow the celebrity.
Let me read to you some of the questions. So Sean Penn was hoping to meet back with El Chapo 8 days later. That did not happen because some of this started to occur within that time frame. But Sean Penn, he wanted to show El Chapo and his people that he was serious. So he actually went to an airport in Mexico and waited and waited and waited.
The siege is happening.
Yes. Then he started to communicate again versus BBM, and he asked El Chapo to send back a video of it. And it took El Chapo quite a long time because there weren't any English translators within his camp. And according to Sean Penn in his article, he thought maybe El Chapo was a little bit insecure to like put his answers out there on tape and for like the whole world to see him for who he is. So here's a couple of the questions. Sean Penn writes via BBM, and again, this was brokered by that Mexican film star. Is it true what they say that drugs destroy humanity and bring harm? El Chapo says, well, it's a reality that drugs destroy. Unfortunately, as I said, where I grew up, there was no other way, and there still isn't a way to survive, no way to work in our economy to be able to make a living. So according to El Chapo, at a very young age, he was selling marijuana and
opium.
At
opium.
9 years old, he was working in the marijuana fields.
Yes, and poppies too. So he was trying to make a living for his family. Another question, do you consider yourself a violent person? No, sir. Are you prone to violence, or do you use it as a last resort? El Chapo, look, all I do is defend myself, nothing more. But do I start trouble? Never. And then there's so many questions. You guys have to read the article. Here's one more. What is your opinion about the situation in Mexico? What is your outlook for Mexico? El Chapo, well, drug trafficking is already part of a culture that originated from the ancestors, and not only in Mexico, this is worldwide. And it goes on and on and on, even to talk about like his family. Like, you know, he loves his mom, he loves his children. And so he's trying to present this other side of this like very big drug lord, probably the biggest, more so than
he is
more
basically,
than
they said there's two
Escobar.
presidents of Mexico.
Yeah, Pablo Escobar.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, you know, there's another person in line to take over the drug empire
Exactly.
after
Yeah, his
this
son's
guy
no
goes
bet-
to jail. And whether it's him or another one, it's the question. It's like you have a strong central figure in power who's murdering people en masse to keep control. But if there is any weakness perceived or a vacuum in power, there's going to be a war to see who's in charge next,
Right.
to have less killing, but perpetuation of the same dynamic.
Yeah.
And to say that when we see a movie about a gangster or a drug kingpin, that how close is that to real life? But you can't forget that these drug kingpins and gangsters are watching the movies. Right. So the image that we've put out has created a larger and larger myth over time that people literally are trying to live up to.
And emulate to some degree. Yeah, 100%. And then also please read the article because Sean Penn, we'll close with this, talks about the fact that like remember when he went on a rant about peeing and holding his dick, and that could be the last time that he sees his penis. And then he also talks about passing flatulence. And
he farted in front of El Chapo.
And I'm quoting exactly what Sean Penn said.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you have to read it. And please share your thoughts. There's so many details. I want to know what you guys have to say. And please check us out also on watchable.com.